India and Nepal, the countries that both share a border of more than 1800 kilometers. More than that, the depth between the people to people interaction is more than that. Let's check about the India and Nepal relationship. The beginning of the relationship. As the close neighbors, India and Nepal share a unique relationship of friendship and cooperation, characterized by open borders and deep rooted people to people contacts and kinship and culture. Nepal has an area of 147,181 square kilometers and a population of 29 million. It shares a border of over 1850 kilometers in the east, south, and west with the five states of the Sikkim, West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, and in the north with the Tibet Autonomous Region of the People's Republic of China. The India-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1950 forms the bedrock of the special relationships that exist between India and Nepal. Under the provision of this treaty, the Nepalese citizens have enjoyed unparalleled national treatment in India, availing facilities and opportunities at par with Indian citizens. Nearly 6 million Nepali citizens live and work in India. Around 600,000 Indians are living in Nepal. So, the evolution of democratic process in Nepal. In 1951, the Nepali monarch King Tribhuvan ended the century-old system of rule by hereditary prime minister, the Ranas, and instituted a cabinet system that brought political parties in the government. In December 1960, then King Mahendra suspended the constitution, dissolved the elected parliament, and dismissed the cabinet. He instituted a panchayat system, hierarchical system of village, district, and national council. In 1990, pro-democracy agitation coordinated by Nepali Congress Party (NCP) and the leftist groups erupted. Street protests were suppressed by security forces, resulting in the deaths and mass arrests. King Birendra eventually bows to the pressure and agrees to new democratic constitution. In 1991, NCP won first democratic election. Girija Prasad Koirala becomes the first prime minister. The Maoist revolt began in 1995. It dragged on for more than a decade and resulted in the death of thousands. Among other things, the rebels wanted the monarch to be abolished. The royal family massacre on 1st June 2001, the Crown Prince Dipendra killed King Birendra, Queen Aishwarya, and several members of the royal family before shooting himself. The king's brother Gayendra was crowned king. In 2005, King Gayendra dismisses the government, restores an absolute monarchy, and declares a state of emergency, citing the need to defeat Maoist rebels. In 2006, April, King Gajendra agreed to reinstate the parliament following weeks of violent strikes and protests against direct royal rule as a part of Lokatantra movement. In peace deal 2016, in November 2016, the government signed a peace deal with Maoist. The Comprehensive Peace Agreement (CPA) formally ended a decade-long insurgency. The evolution of democratic process has begun, and it is also the end of monarchy. In December 2007, Parliament approved the abolition of monarchy as a part of peaceful deal with Maoists who agreed to rejoin the government. Election to new Constituent Assembly in April 2008, former Maoist rebels won the largest block of seats in elections to the new Constituent Assembly (CA) but failed to achieve majority and outright majority. In 2008 May, Nepal became the republic. In 2008 June, Maoist minister resigned from the cabinet in the row over who should be the next head of the state. In July 2008, Ram Baran Yadav becomes the Nepal's first president. In 2008 August, Maoist leader Pushpak Kamal Dahal aka Prachanda formed a coalition government with Nepali Congress going into the opposition. Later the same year, Maoists left the government. 2009 May, Prime Minister Prachanda resigned following row with the President Yadav over integration of former rebel fighters into the military and impasses over constitution continued. In 2010 May, the Constituent Assembly (CA) voted to extend the deadline for drafting the constitution to the first four extensions. In 2012 May, the Constituent Assembly (CA) is dissolved after failing to produce a draft constitution. In 2014 December, November, Nepal and India signed a deal to build $1 billion hydro plant on Nepali Arun River to counter crippling energy shortages. The elections in Nepal. In December 2017, Nepal held parliamentary elections. The lower house of Representative Pratandi Sabha comprises of 275 seats, out of which 165 were elected on the FPTP system and 110 through the proportional representation system. Elections for Upper House, National Assembly, Rashtriya Sabha were held in February 2018. It has 59 members. The victory of the left alliances, including the Communist Party of the Nepal and the Maoist Party, ensured swearing of KP Oli as the new Prime Minister. It is apparent that Mr. Oli has a clear tilt towards China. This perhaps adds to challenge in India-Nepal relationship. The security status about India and Nepal. India has played a leading role in helping the Nepalese army in its modernization through provision of equipment and training. About 250 plus training slots are provided every year for training of Nepalese army personnel in the various Indian Army training institutions. The 10th Indo-Nepali Army Battalion level joint exercise was conducted at Shalijad, Nepal from 31st October to 13th November 2016. The 11th Indo-Nepal Army Battalion level joint exercise Surya Kiran was conducted at Pitograha, India in March 2017. The Gorkha Regiment of Indian Army is raised partly by the recruitment from the hill districts of Nepal. Currently, about 32,000 Gorkha soldiers from Nepal are serving in Indian Army. The land and water resources in India and Nepal. Cooperation in water resources, primarily concerning the common rivers, is one of the most important areas of our bilateral relationship and has immense potential. It is estimated that around 250 small and large rivers flow from Nepal to India and constitute an important part of the Ganges River basins. These rivers have a potential to become major sources of irrigation and power for the Nepal and India and are a source of devastating floods in Nepal's Terai region and the Indian states of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. A three-tier bilateral mechanism established in 2008 to discuss the issues relating to the cooperation in the water resource and hydrogen power between the two countries. In November 2014, Nepal and India signed a deal to build $1 billion for a hydropower plant on Nepal's Arun River to counter crippling energy shortages. The commencement of work on the Pancheshwar multipurpose project on Mahakali River in 2017 is expected to provide impetus to water resource cooperation between India and Nepal. So, what is the power status between the India and Nepal? India and Nepal have a power exchange agreement since 1971. For the meeting the power requirements in the border areas of the two countries taking advantage of each other's transmission infrastructure. There are more than 20 132 kV, 33 kV, and 11 kV transmission interconnections, which are used both for power exchange in bordering areas and for the power trade. For enhanced transmission of electricity, short-term augmentation of existing grid has been completed. Under mid-term augmentation with the grant assistance of Government of India, 132 kV Kakatiya and Kaushasha is 132 kV Raxol and Parvenpur transmission lines are being operationalized. For long-term augmentation of the cross-border grid infrastructure with funding of US $132 million from Government of India's and another funding of $100 million from LOC local governments, the construction of the 400 kV Muzaffarpur and Dalkabar transmission line is in progress. What are the trade relationships between India and Nepal? Let's discuss. Since 1996, Nepal exports to India have grown more than 11 times and bilateral trade more than 7 times. The bilateral trade between was that of 29.8% of total external trade of Nepal in the year 1995 to 1996 has reached 61.2% in 2015 to 16. Indian firms are the biggest investors in Nepal, accounting for about 40% of total approved foreign direct investments. There are about 150 Indian ventures operating in Nepal. They are engaged in manufacturing services such as banking, insurance, dry port, education and telecom, power sector and tourism industries. Some large Indian investors include ITC, Dabur India, Hindustan Unilever, TCIL, MNTL, State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Asian Paints, GMR India are some of the leading companies that are investing in Nepal. The Union Budget 2018 increased the funding allocation of Nepal from 375 crores to 650 crores. In February 2016, Nepal agreed on giving the dedicated access to Nepal to port of Vizag. The development in connectivity between India and Nepal. The augmentation of Jayanagar Janakapur railway line is in progress between the two countries. Originally built during the British rule, this line is functional till 2014 when it was closed up for gradation. In the 2017, India has also proposed a direct rail link to Kathmandu from Delhi and Kolkata. Currently, India and Nepal are connected by the directed bus services launched in 2014. Both the countries are signatories of BBIN motor vehicle agreement as a part of sub-regional connectivity efforts. So, the biggest part is border disputes between India and Nepal, how it solved the two countries. Delineation of the border between India and Nepal is subject to the resolution over territorial dispute of Sansta and Kalapani areas. The Kalapani region is over 35 square kilometers disputed area where border is marked by river Mahakali. Gandak forms the international border between the India and Nepal. The British era agreement known as the Treaty of Sugahali 1816 led to the democratization of the international border between India and Nepal. In 1981, Joint Technical Level Nepal and India Border Committee was set up, which after years of surveying and deliberation delineated 98% of India-Nepal border and 182 strip maps, but Susta was not part of this delineation. In 2007, these strip maps were presented to both the countries for ratification. Nepal refused to sign the documents without resolving the Susta and Kalapani disputes in India. India too did not endorse the maps. Thank you very much for watching.